conversation to the economy. He delivered remarks yesterday in front of that table of prop groceries, but he again veered into personal grievances.
I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence, and I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally.
NBC's Dasha Burns and Aaron Gilchrist are tracking the two campaigns. Also with us, former Republican Congressman from Florida, Carlos Curbelo, and Democratic pollster and political analyst Fernand Amandi. So, Aaron, very significant that the first part of Harris's platform that's being rolled out is on the economy. What's the significance of doing it there in North Carolina?
Well, yeah, and I think there are a couple of ways to look at North Carolina here. We do know it's an important battleground state, obviously, that the vice president has already visited 7 times this year. She was supposed to go to Raleigh last week during that get-to-know-you tour with her new running mate, Tim Walz, but there was the tropical storm, obviously, that postponed that visit. So this stop is partly to make up for that. But it's worth noting, too, that North Carolina has been getting a lot of Democratic attention. Its governor, Roy Cooper, was thought to be a contender for vice president. For Vice President Harris's VP pick. We saw him on the campaign trail with Harris quite a bit before she took over the top of the ticket. Just this week, we saw some polling showing that Harris is picking up steam in that state as well. So you're right, it is important. This afternoon, we are going to hear her lay out some details of this economic plan. She's been telegraphing for weeks now that lowering costs for families and building up the middle class would be a, quote, defining goal for a Harris presidency. So expect to hear the vice president today talk about tax credits for middle-class families, lowering those credits for middle-class families and lower-income workers. She will explain a federal ban on corporate price gouging, specifically in the grocery and food industries. She's also expected to roll out some housing policy proposals to lower costs for renters, and doing that by targeting corporate landlords in Wall Street. She also plans to address the housing supply shortage by calling for the construction of 3 million new housing units in this country. And this all comes as we roll into the Democratic convention next week, Anna, where we expect to learn more about the policy platform for a potentially an incoming Harris administration, Anna.
Meantime, Dasha, Trump is obviously trying to get out in front of the cameras to make a point. He's holding these so-called press conferences. But was there anything new we learned yesterday, or did he just deviate again into personal attacks?
Yeah, I don't know that we learned anything new in terms of his policy positions or anything like that. I think what we did get yesterday, though, was confirmation from the former president of the strategy that he's deploying here, despite the calls from his allies to focus on policy. He's saying, no, I have to do it my way, and my way includes personal attacks. I mean, this is something that has worked for him in the past, he believes, whether it's with Hillary Clinton or with Ron DeSantis. I mean, this is how he goes about this. It's his MO, and he talked about that strategy and how he wants to brand Kamala Harris. Take a listen.
This is a radical left lunatic that we have running for office, and I'm trying to brand her as such because if I don't, you know, they get a lot of support. They get a lot of money coming in from lots of bad places.
And, you know, when you talk to his team, Anna, this is the challenge that they face. They have a strategy. They want him to focus on policy. But Trump is Trump. There is no controlling him. There's no forcing him to stay on a certain message. And they will also say, one of the advisors told me, Trump is our secret sauce. And so there's only so much wrangling that they even want to do because he has these political instincts that sometimes may seem crazy, but sometimes work out for him. So they're walking this fine line. The trouble for him is when you look at the polling, this cycle in particular, the gender gap is so wide, and it's widening with Harris at the top of the ticket. And those suburban women in Pennsylvania and Michigan and the places that he needs to win, I don't know that that is the kind of attack that resonates, at least not according to the data.
Okay, thank you very much, Dasha Burns and Aaron Gilchrist. Fernand, as we look ahead to the Harris event this afternoon, just how important is it for Harris to lay out her economic vision today?
Well, I think it's important because the economy was really the one issue that was stymieing Joe Biden when he was the Democratic nominee. Americans, despite the pretty strong economic indicators, the strong economic record by the Biden administration, weren't necessarily buying that. So not only the fact that you see Kamala Harris laser focusing on this issue, the fact that she's also undoubtedly a much better messenger at this point. She has the ability to communicate very effectively, very passionately, and I think her team sees if they can move the needle on the economy, and polls are starting to show now, Anna, that voters trust Kamala Harris slightly more than Joe Biden. That means that they're going to be able to grow their support. By contrast, you see a very undisciplined, chaotic Donald Trump who only really knows how to function in chaos. Yesterday, try and kind of knock him down a peg or two, really unable to reach that goal because Trump is what Trump is. He's a victim of insults. He likes that style, and that's going to be the approach that we're going to see for the next 30 or 60 days. He's not going to change.
And that's what he's saying. He's saying that out loud, that I'm going to do it my way. Congressman, as mentioned, the polling on the economy as an issue for voters is showing Trump ahead, but that gap is closing with Harris on the ticket. What should Republicans read from that?
Well, Anna, it just is another example of the fact that Donald Trump might be the most undisciplined presidential candidate in history, because you hear congressional Republicans, you hear political strategists. We know what his team is telling him. They're telling him to focus on the economy, inflation, and immigration. Those are the issues that could really propel Republicans to victory in 2024. But a reminder, Anna, those were the same issues that could have generated a big red wave for Republicans in 22, which a lot of people predicted. Why did that not materialize? In large part because Donald Trump decided to intervene in that 22 race and make it about the big lie, about the 2020 election. That threw Republicans off message, and it really hurt their ability to make the gains that they were supposed to make that cycle. So we're saying the same thing over and over again. We're seeing it here. Donald Trump working as hard as he can to keep that coalition that rejected the MAGA movement in 18, 20, and 22 together to possibly defeat him again in 24.
Well, speaking of potential messaging issues, Congressman, Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, has been on the trail this week and has really been trying to highlight military issues, trying to connect with military families, with veterans. But then Trump says this.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead.
Congressman Corbello, your reaction to that?
This, number one, what a horrible thing to say. Number two, this is exactly the type of statement, the type of conduct that turns off the swing voters in suburban America that defeated Trump 3 elections in a row, the MAGA movement, 18, 20, and 22. Again, this is Donald Trump being his own worst enemy, keeping that anti-Trump coalition together. A lot of people say, well, maybe he'll change course. This is who Donald Trump is. He hasn't changed in all these years, and I think it's unlikely to happen in the next couple months.
And not to mention, isn't he undermining the message of his own running mate, who can speak with, I guess, some gravitas on the issue, given his own experience in the military?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I mean, to think about that contrast with not just J.D. Vance, who he's undermining, but Tim Walton, any American who wore the uniform, any Gold Star parent who lost someone in combat. I mean, just repugnant comments by a repugnant person. Anna, I think the other thing that really needs to be stated here that Donald Trump doesn't seem to understand, the one advantage that he had in 2016 is what he was then, what I call a political Rorschach test candidate. A lot of voters justified their personal discomfort with him and his rhetoric by saying, well, yeah, at least he's a businessman. I think he's going to shake things up. I think he's going to do things a lot better. Voters have now seen the product. And as Congressman Corbello says, the reaction to the product they saw in 2018, 2020, and 2022 was a rejection of that. So that's why Trump continuing to stay the course with this 2016 over-the-top approach, not only is it going bad for him, I think it's going to cause a massive loss across the country, especially now with the new energized Harris-Walz ticket. capturing the imagination of voters across the country.
Veterans, people without kids, postmenopausal women. Fernand, how many different groups has the GOP ticket collectively potentially alienated in the last few weeks?
All of them, all of them. That's why you see all of a sudden all of these groups mushrooming overnight. Veterans for Harris on Zoom, childless cat ladies for Harris on Zoom. All of these little groups, because of the constant 24-hour Death Star alienation campaign that the Trump-Vance ticket just delights in seeming to do. Again, that stuff may work on Fox News and conservative media. It doesn't play with non-Trump voters and non-Trump supporters.
Trump is also back to false election claims, trying to stir up doubts about election integrity. Congressman, new Republican-backed laws in states like Georgia seem tailor-made to block certification in the event of a Harris win. If Trump and his allies try to ignore or even overturn the election results again if they lose, are there enough establishment Republicans left to stop it?
I think there are, Anna. In Congress in 2020, we did see a lot of Republicans, not enough in my opinion, but a lot stand up and say, no, we're not going to embrace this lie. It does concern me that Mitch McConnell, while he will still be in Congress, is not going to be in a leadership position anymore, because he certainly did stand up to the big lie in a very meaningful way at an important time. But yes, I do believe that there are a sufficient number of Republicans who will stand up and say, no way, we're not going to do this. And I especially think, given the lessons from the past, right, and that ugly day, January 6, 2021, I think there are enough people who are going to say, we're not going to do that all over again. We're going to move forward as a country.
Former Congressman Carlos Curbelo and Fernand Amandi, thank you both. Nice to see you. Still ahead, we will dig deeper into Kamala Harris's economic vision for America, including new proposals aimed at families and first-time home buyers. Plus, Ernesto strengthening into a Cat 2 hurricane and headed for Bermuda. We're live on the island as they prepare for the strongest storm in 4 years. Also ahead, Ukraine's stunning advance, now claiming nearly 400 miles of Russian territory. How has this changed the fight? And later, U.S. gymnast Jordan Chiles breaking her silence after her Olympic bronze was taken away. We're back in 90 seconds.
Still have symptoms from moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease after a TNF blocker like Humira or Remicade? Put them in check with Rinvoq. Rinvoq works differently, and it's a once-daily pill.
When symptoms tried to take control, I got rapid relief with Rinvoq. Check.
When flares tried to slow me down, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when my doctor saw damage, Rinvoq helped visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining. Check.
Rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission,
And visibly reduced damage. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal. Cancers, including lymphoma and skin. Heart attack, stroke, and GI tears occurred. People 50 and older with a heart disease risk factor have an increased risk of death. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
With Claritin, relieving your allergies is a walk in the park. Get fast, all-day relief of your worst allergy symptoms, like nasal congestion. Live Claritin Clear.
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
We are back with more on Vice President Harris's plan to unveil her economic agenda this afternoon, with an emphasis on lowering grocery prices, lowering rental prices, and tax cuts for middle-class families. And while Donald Trump is still leading on the issue of the economy over Kamala Harris in recent polling, he no longer has the double-digit lead he regularly held over President Biden on this key issue for voters. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung is here to help break down Harris's economic economic plans. First on grocery prices. Brian, we know Harris wants to ban corporate price gouging in the food and the food and grocery industries. How would this work?
Yeah, well, again, and the economy is this kind of big nebulous idea, but what we're really dealing with right now is inflation, and where are people noticing that the most? At the grocery store. So the Harris plan really started off with some talking points about what they want to do on price gouging. They're basically taking aim at companies that they allege have been unduly raising prices to increase their margins, and indeed profitability at a number of companies has indeed increased. So what she's proposing here is giving a little bit more power to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, in addition to state attorneys general, to investigate any sort of allegations of price gouging and impose strict new penalties on companies that are found out to do so. She also wants to scrutinize mergers and acquisitions, and I should point out there's a big one in the works already. Kroger and Albertsons, one of the two largest chains in this country, they proposed a merger in 2022. It's been making its way through the legal system in the form of many lawsuits, and whether or not that gets resolved, it could go into the next administration. So whether or not it's Harris or Trump could be very instrumental to what comes of that potentially big merger. And when it comes to lowering housing and rent prices, what do we know about her plans? Yeah, from the inflation report that we got just earlier this week, by the way, 90% of the increase in prices was attributed to housing costs. So this is actually the bigger part of the plan here. And what she's proposing is a number of things. First off, a $40 billion plan that would basically spur innovation in this space. Also a $25,000 payment assistance for first-time home buyers trying to put down that down payment, which we know is a very big deal. So these are really big parts of the equation here. But a lot of economists that I've been speaking to over the last few years, Anna, have said it's really supply that's the issue. So yes, you might be able to give first-time home buyers some help on the down payment, but if there aren't any homes to buy in the area, that's going to be a problem. She hopes that this $40 billion fund, in addition to things like encouraging people to build starter homes for first-time buyers through tax incentives, that would increase the supply. She's aiming at 3 million new housing units over her administration. That's a pretty lofty and ambitious goal. And Brian, talk to us about the tax cuts she's proposing for middle-class families. Who exactly stands to benefit, and how much of a relief could they expect? Yeah, well, her proposal, as outlined today, would really take aim at families. And she's basically saying, all right, we'll bring back the expanded child tax credit, which Americans got a little bit of a sampling of in 2021. It expired in 2022. That kind of came out of the post-COVID period. That actually, a lot of research showed, helped a lot of low-income families, specifically those that have a number of kids, but just really had a tough time trying to get through the pandemic through layoffs. But so she's saying, all right, let's bring that back. And on top of that, bringing up a $6,000 tax credit for families with children that are in their first year of life. So again, that would be stacked on top of the expanded child tax credit. That would be a pretty big deal for a number of families. But one quick point I want to make, what was noticeably absent from this report and this plan that, as outlined today, that she was talking about on the campaign trail, was that tip tax, trying to get rid of that tip tax, which Trump has said he would also do as well. I didn't see mention of that in the plan this morning. Maybe she thinks that's already come out, so she doesn't have to address it. At this point, we'll see. Thank you, Brian Chong. You took through a lot there, and I know it's not easy. I appreciate it. Thanks. We're getting a fresh new look into Donald Trump's personal finances. According to these financial disclosure documents, the former president owns more than $1 million in cryptocurrency. The campaign in recent days has embraced crypto, saying that they are building a crypto army. This is a stark shift from when Trump called the digital currency a scam. The former president also made $300,000 from selling branded Bibles, selling them for $59.99 each. And a limited edition version, also available, bearing Trump's signature, selling for $1,000 apiece. We're also learning the Secret Service is enacting new security measures for outdoor Trump rallies after the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania. The new measures include additional staffing and a ballistic shield, or bulletproof glass, around the area where Trump will be speaking, something that's typically only used for sitting presidents and vice presidents. The former president has not held an outdoor rally since the attempt on his life last month. Next on Ana Cabrera reports, Hurricane Ernesto, now a Category 2 storm, barreling toward Bermuda, expecting to bring life-threatening flooding and 100-mile-per-hour winds. We're on the ground in its path and have a forecast on where this monster system is heading next.
Protect against RSV with Arexvy. Arexvy is a vaccine used to prevent lower respiratory disease from RSV in people 60 years and older. Arexvy does not protect everyone and is not for those with severe allergic reactions to its ingredients. Those with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most common side effects are injection site pain, fatigue, muscle pain, headache, and joint pain. Arexvy is #1 in RSV vaccine shots. RSV? Make it Arexvy.
With CarGurus, filter millions of listings to land the perfect deal. If only you could do things your way all the time. Imagine that. Get it with Gurus.
Work. Play. Blink. Relief. Work. Play. Blink. Relief.
The only 3-in-1 extended relief formula for dry eyes.
Blink.
Not every decision you make will be as good as getting a Volkswagen at the Savvy VW Summer Sales Event. 2024 Volkswagen models cost less to maintain than Honda. Get 0.9% APR financing or a $3,500 customer bonus on a new 2024 Atlas or Atlas Cross Sport.
Was that necessary?
No. Neither is missing your daughter's competition to do payroll. With Paycom, employees do their own payroll, so you don't have to miss your daughter's big day. Time to shine. Get Paycom and make the unnecessary unnecessary.
Instead of trying the latest weight loss fad, join over 5 million people that have switched to Golo as a better way to lose weight. With Golo, you simply take one Release supplement with each meal and follow the Golo for Life plan. The 7 natural plants and 3 key minerals in Release help support weight loss by targeting body fat and combating the stress of dieting. Golo is the effective and affordable weight loss solution. Get started today at Golo.com. That's GOLO.com.
At the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's, this is why we walk. They're why we walk. We walk in the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's because we're getting closer to beating this disease. Join us. You know what's crazy?
That this is better than cooking at home? I mean, more affordable than groceries.
Of course.
Good.
Groceries are expensive.
Thought I was in trouble there for a sec.
Oh, you are.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan cannon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Taking care of your family is hard work, especially when schedules change. Join the 29 million people who have turned to care and find support in your area for kids, seniors, pets, and homes. All from background-checked caregivers, rated and reviewed by people like you. That's hours and hours of goofing around. Hundreds of lovely afternoons, mile after mile of WALKs, and acres of expertly cleaned floors. Find care that fits your schedule. Go to care.com now.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
I need it a little cool.
And I need it a lot of cool.
We're both cool like that.
Sleep Number does that. Actively cools and warms on each side. During our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed and free delivery when you add any base.
I know a lot of voters are exhausted. You know who else is exhausted? Every single player at halftime of the Super Bowl. Every one of them is exhausted. And what do? They go out there and they do it again. This is halftime in the contest for the future. And there's a second half coming up. And yeah, you have to play in both halves.
Hurricane Ernesto is now a Cat 2 and on a collision course with Bermuda. There's new urgency on that island as folks there brace for impact, preparing to face hurricane conditions, including storm surge and heavy winds late today into Saturday morning. A hurricane of this force is a rare occurrence for this small Caribbean island. Hurricane Ernesto is only the 5th Category 2 or higher storm to track this close to Bermuda in the past 24 years. NBC's Guad Venegas is in the path of the hurricane in Southampton, Bermuda, and also with us, meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan. Guad, what are the conditions like right now there in Bermuda?
Anna, it's sort of the calm before the storm. We've gotten some light rain today, a little bit of wind, but it's very nice weather. It's still cloudy. There's a lot of tourists that are still out enjoying the last few hours of this nice weather here in Bermuda. In fact, some of the individuals that are near us say they're about to go to the airport and catch the last flight out, expected at 4 p.m. today locally, as the storm keeps making its way up the Atlantic. It's expected to pass very close to Bermuda, just west of us, so we would be getting the impact right here as Ernesto makes its way towards Bermuda.
Final preparations underway in Bermuda as Hurricane Ernesto barrels towards the island. The storm gaining strength over the Atlantic, becoming a Category 2 overnight, dumping heavy rain here before it's expected to deliver a glancing blow tomorrow.
It's better to be prepared.
Right in the peak of tourist season. Cruise ships like the Carnival Pride leaving the island early to avoid the worst of the weather. But others haven't been as lucky.
It's been very stressful the last few days.
Newlyweds Olivia and Andrew Dolan, who narrowly avoided Hurricane Debbie at their wedding, say they tried booking an early flight to get out, but everything was sold out. Their honeymoon trip will now likely include a hurricane.
Hopping on a flight to paradise and then being hit with a hurricane was another gut punch.
In Puerto Rico, over 200,000 customers still have no power. Luma Energy, which provides power to the island, making repairs but still giving no timeline when the lights will be back on. Along the U.S. East Coast, beaches warning of dangerous rip currents and surf this weekend as Ernesto churns its way north, staying offshore but putting a damper on one of the last weeks of summer fun.
And the cruise ships have now left the dockyard here. The airport expected to close later today. Now, we have a last-minute update. Olivia and her husband just messaged us telling us they might be able to get out. They found seats on one of these flights. They're currently at the airport trying to get on that flight, so they might be able to go back home before the hurricane hits. Now, a lot of the residents in the island are doing the final preparations. You can see some of the people in the water here. These are tourists. These are individuals that are staying at the resort. The resort has made the preparations, so essentially they have nothing to do other than just wait for the weather to come, that heavy rain and wind, and then they expect, of course, to go into their rooms as they ride out the storm. The effects expected to be felt later today and into Saturday. Anna?
Okay, Guad Venegas, thank you for that reporting. Looks beautiful, at least before the storm. Ryan, what impact could we see from Ernesto in the U.S.?
Yeah, so it's going to pass about 600 miles to the east of the United States, but it looks like it's going to be close enough and the storm's large enough that we're going to see some big swells and some rip currents heading to the beaches from Maine all the way down to Florida. So here's a look at the storm right now. There is Bermuda. The storm is moving to the north. If there's any good news this morning, it's that it looks like the storm has not strengthened much in the last or so. It's overnight, but it hasn't strengthened much this morning. The storm is a little asymmetrical. It's battling some dry air on the western flank. And so while that's going on, it's going to be tough to get the storm much stronger. Winds are still a very formidable 100 miles per hour. Check out the track of the storm. It gets very, very close to Bermuda. If it doesn't make landfall on the island, it's going to be close enough to bring the core of the strongest winds right to Bermuda. Destructive wind gusts over 100 miles per hour possible as the storm moves in. We're also looking at some very, very heavy rain, some storm surge flooding, certainly a possibility. In terms of rainfall totals, over 10 inches of rain, could be as much as 15 inches of rain on Bermuda. So that's a whole lot of water. That's going to lead to some flash flooding issues. And then the storm curves out to sea well to the east of the United States, may get fairly close to Canada by this weekend. And in terms of hazards here in the U.S., again, from Maine all the way down to Florida, you're looking at some very big surf, some big waves, and some rip currents through the weekend. So if you're heading to the beach, something to be careful about.
Yes.
Anna, we'll send things back over to you.
Some dangerous conditions there, Ryan Hanrahan. Thank you. And overseas now, thousands of citizens evacuated evaluating Russia as Ukraine pushes deeper into hostile territory. We've got the latest on the stunning move by Ukraine and the pressure it's putting on Putin. Plus, mounting hope for peace. Gaza ceasefire talks continuing today in Doha. Are they making any progress?
Which looks better, this or this? Seems clear to me. If you love to save, check out the Wise Buy sales event going on right now at America's Best. Get 2 pairs of progressives for just $129.95. Offer includes a comprehensive eye exam. Book an exam online today.
Okay, Limu, you said it. Then as I spike it, I'll tell them how Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance, so they only pay for what they need. Got it? Did you get that? Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
With Car Gurus, you can start your financing from home. If only you could do things your way all the time. Maybe someday, Dad. Get it with Gurus.
Shopify's point-of-sale system helps you sell at every stage of your business. With fast and secure payment, card readers you can rely on, and one place to manage it all, whatever the stage. Businesses that grow with Shopify.
Welcome to Stormy Heights, where the windows are always Pella. Pella's fiberglass is the strongest material for windows and patio doors. The fiberglass frame is even scratch and dent resistant. Pella Windows.
Save on replacement windows by Pella now.
No application fee if you apply by August 29th at University of Maryland Global Campus, offering online and hybrid courses and lifetime career services. Learn about our more than 135 degrees and certificates at umgc.edu.
Here we go. Consumer Cellular uses the same towers as Big Wireless, but then passes the savings on to you. Save your money for something else. Speaking of, I ordered us some Thai food.
For unlimited talk and text with reliable coverage starting at just $20, call Consumer Cellular.
Important healthcare announcement. If people tell you your TV is too loud, or if listening in some environments has become too difficult, we are requesting your participation in a special program called the 30-Day Risk-Free Challenge. Hearing Life Hearing Centers are seeking people with hearing difficulties to evaluate a new 100% digital mini hearing aid now being released. All people with hearing aids or hearing difficulties are wanted to take part in this 30-day risk-free challenge evaluating this new high-tech device that sits discreetly behind your ear. This hearing aid is Bluetooth enabled and rechargeable. All hearing assessments are performed at no charge for those taking part in the challenge. Participants will try these hearing aids for 30 days. Now, to take part in this event, you must call. So please, get a pencil and write down the number below. Call us and take the Hearing Life 30-Day Risk-Free Challenge.
We're back with new developments in Ukraine's surprise advance into Russia. Newly obtained video from the Ukrainian military, which you see here, shows part of that operation. This incursion will likely make it harder for Moscow to mount a renewed offensive in Ukraine's east, with U.S. officials saying it could eventually impose real costs on Russia, where at least 200,000 people have been forced to evacuate. While this turn of events may have embarrassed the Kremlin, U.S. officials warn that the Ukrainian offensive, now in its 10th day of operation, will not be all that drives Vladimir Putin to the bargaining table. NBC's Aaron McLaughlin joins us from Ukraine's capital of Kyiv. Aaron, just how significant and effective has this surprise offensive been?
Well, Anna, this is certainly being seen as significant here in Kyiv. You know, I was speaking with a senior advisor to the Ukrainian government, withholding his name for security reasons. He was telling me that right now, Ukraine on the battlefield is outmanned and outgunned by the Russians. And if the Ukrainians were to continue with what he called symmetrical warfare, the Ukrainians would be in serious trouble, which is why he says the Ukrainians Ukrainian military is now trying to think outside of the box, which is what they're doing there in Kursk. He said that it's critical that they turn this symmetrical situation into a symmetrical situation to make gains. And I was speaking last night with Mihailo Podolyak, a senior advisor to President Zelensky, and he told me that this incursion into Russian territory is about defending Ukraine. Take a listen.
Is this an occupation?
No, this is definitely not an occupation, he says. This is a destruction of the military objects of the Russian Federation in the Russian rear.
Now, tactically speaking, one of the key aims of the Ukrainian operation on Russian soil right now is to create a diversion to try and draw Russian resources from the Donbass, where Ukrainian forces currently are on the back foot, ceding ground to the Russians, having been outmanned and outgunned every single day. The hope is that they will draw those Russian forces to defend Kursk and put Ukrainian positions in a better stead there in Ukraine. Now, at the moment, it doesn't appear that Russian forces are being drawn to Kursk, although Podolyak tells me that he believes that that will happen with time. Anna.
Erin McLaughlin reporting live for us in Kyiv. Thank you. And now turning to the Middle East and day 2 of a new round of ceasefire talks in Doha with the U.S., Israel, Egypt, and Qatar. A new joint statement just in says the talks over the last 48 hours were, quote, serious, constructive, and conducted in a positive atmosphere, and that a proposal was presented to Israel and Hamas that narrows lingering gaps, with senior officials expected to meet again in Cairo before the end of next week. Let's go to NBC's Danielle Hamamdin joining us now from Israel. Danielle, does this mean that the talks have wrapped up for today?
Yes, we've just received confirmation that the respective delegations are done for the day, and certainly the Israeli delegation will be flying back here to Israel tonight. You mentioned the statement the parties proposed in the proposal that was presented to both Israel and Hamas. Something that narrows the gaps and is consistent with what Joe Biden, the president, presented back on May 31st. What needs, and this is what the section I find interesting, Anna, that what needs further discussion are the details related to the hostages and Palestinian detainees. And senior officials will meet before the end of next week in Cairo, hoping to reach an agreement based on the terms presented today. We've been saying all along that the major sticking points, at least for Israel, was this buffer zone, this area called the Philadelphia corridor between Egypt and Gaza, and Israel's concern that Hamas was going to use it to smuggle in weapons and fighters. Now, the fact that, and in stage 1 of this deal, phase 1, we're supposed to see a number of hostages released, the wounded, the elderly, and women, including female soldiers, in exchange for a certain number of Palestinian detainees. How many are they? Who are they exactly? I think that remains to be seen, and that's what they're referring to, what needs to be discussed. But after reading the statement, it appears, at least that's the sense I get, that this is the closest they've ever been, and they're hoping to get this over the line before Friday next week.
Yeah, the fact that they have another date already planned to meet again is something we'll be watching very closely. Danielle Hamamdin, thank you. Next here on Ana Cabrera reports 5 charged in the death of actor Matthew Perry, including 2 doctors and Perry's former assistant. What we know about the charges and the evidence that prosecutors have gathered. Plus, Olympic gymnast Jordan Childs now opening up publicly about the controversy surrounding her bronze medal win.
Look at this. I love my new body. I love my new shape.
This summer, feel confident in anything with Sono Bello One Visit Permanent Fat Removal.
I saw the results immediately.
I feel amazing.
My waist is tiny. I'm very, very happy.
I'm nearly 50, and my abs haven't been this flat since before I had kids.
For a limited time, take advantage of Sono Bello's best offer of the year. Call or go to sonobello.com.
It will change your life. It did for me.
Another health insurance commercial, another aqua aerobics scene.
Yep, most health insurance companies see us all the same. Smiley seniors, golfing, hiking.
Don't forget antiquing.
That's why I chose Humana. They see me, not a stereotypical senior. I'm pre-diabetic, so I talked one-on-one with the Humana health educator who really helped me. Now I'm taking free cooking and meditation classes.
Not aqua aerobics.
Better care begins with listening. Humana, a more human way to health care.
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
This is how AG1 works to deliver foundational nutrition that tastes great too. Matching natural pineapple and vanilla flavors with nutrient density to start every morning right. Upgrade your daily habit today at drinkag1.com.
This is the one. She fixes, she manages, she perfects. Because maintaining this space transports her to this space. The industrial grade product you need. Call, click, or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Only from SimpliSafe, 24/7 lifeguard protection. This exclusive technology allows SimpliSafe agents to help stop crime in real time.
Stop. Police are on their way.
For instant intruder deterrence and faster police response, there's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Hey, boss, any updates on the link road to the town hall?
We're low on production buildings.
We need more resources and workers. What's the status on the budget?
Don't worry, I have a plan. I'll share my screen with you.
Whoa, you nailed it. You built an entire city.
Love a good challenge? Build your own empire in Forge of Empires, the strategy game that takes you through human history. Get the app or start your adventure directly on FOE.tv.
Did you know you could save with GoodRx, even if you have insurance?
I'm on Medicare. I check GoodRx because I can beat my copay. Who wouldn't like that?
Even if you have insurance, GoodRx can help you save. Another good reason to check GoodRx.
At Doan's, we know one thing and one thing only. Backs. Strained backs from weekend chores to pulled backs doing your favorite hobbies. We even know quarterbacks. Doan's, the experts in back pain relief for more than 100 years. Available at a store near you.
It wasn't always like this. Dryness made sex painful and awkward. But Reverie's vaginal moisturizer brought back the spark.
Thousands of women have restored their vaginal moisture. Join them at Reverie.com.
A heart attack? Do they have life insurance?
No.
But we have life insurance. John.
I'm trying to find something we can afford.
Fortunately, in only a few minutes, SelectQuote found John a $500,000 policy for only $29 a month. And his wife Anne a $500,000 policy for only $21 a month. Go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs
at a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
I knew it. I thought something is different about my man.
It's Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew? Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. You've done it again.
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us and get every out-of-market Sunday game. Plus $800 off Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Welcome back. 5 people have now been charged in the death of Friends star Matthew Perry. The suspects include 2 doctors, a drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, and Perry's former live-in personal assistant. Prosecutors allege the 5 took advantage of Perry's addiction struggles to make a profit. NBC's Chloe Malas has the details. Chloe?
Hey there, good morning. Federal prosecutors have now charged 5 individuals. 3 of those have taken a plea deal in connection to Matthew Perry's death investigation, saying that these individuals took advantage of Perry's addiction issues for profit.
I want to hug you.
Nearly 10 months after beloved Friends star Matthew Perry's fatal ketamine overdose, federal investigators have now charged 5 people in connection with the actor's death, including 2 California doctors, Mark Chavez and Salvador Plasencia. Yasmin Sangha, an alleged drug trafficker prosecutors say is known as the ketamine queen, and Perry's live-in assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa, who, according to court documents, admitted to investigators he repeatedly injected Perry with doses of the drug that led to the actor's death.
These defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves.
While 3 of the defendants, including Perry's assistant, have already agreed to plea deals, on Thursday, Sonia and Plasencia both pled not guilty in their first appearance in federal court. Dr. Plasencia's attorney telling NBC News Perry did pay his client for ketamine treatments.
The full extent of how much was charged and how much was prescribed in the treatment process, I don't have all of those answers right now, but there definitely was a doctor-patient relationship.
In an 18-count indictment, investigators outlined Perry's tragic final weeks, alleging doctors and dealers sold the actor dozens of vials of ketamine for upwards of $60,000. According to the document, Dr. Plasencia sent text messages discussing how much to charge Perry for the drug, writing, "I wonder how much this moron will pay, and let's find out."
Dr. Plasencia and Dr. Chavez violated the oath they took to care for their patients. Instead of do no harm, they did harm so that they could make more money.
Court documents also indicate Perry's assistant told investigators in the days leading up to his death, Iwamasa injected his boss with approximately 6 to 8 ketamine shots per day and found Perry unconscious on at least 2 occasions. On the day Perry died, Iwamasa says he gave 3 separate rounds of the drug to the actor, with Perry telling him, "Shoot me up with a big one." Hours later, Perry was found face down and unresponsive in his jacuzzi. The LA County Medical Examiner determined that the 54-year-old died from the acute effects of ketamine. Perry had been open about his use of the drug to treat depression and anxiety, but federal investigators say that the ring of individuals charged conspired to take advantage of Perry for profit.
We are sending a clear message. If you are in the business of selling dangerous drugs, we will hold you accountable for the deaths that you cause.
When it comes to the leading defendants in this case, Dr. Plasencia and a drug dealer known as the ketamine queen, they could face decades behind bars. Now, Matthew Perry's assistant actually has taken a plea deal, but he could still face up to 15 years in jail. But again, this is an ongoing situation. There will be later court dates. Matthew Perry's family releasing a statement yesterday saying that while they are still heartbroken by Matthew's death, they look forward to justice taking its course. Back to you.
Chloe Malas, thanks. Defense attorney Misty Maris is joining us now. So yesterday at this press conference, Misty, investigators really laid out their evidence, saying these co-conspirators were really motivated by money. And here's part of what we heard.
They supplied Matthew Perry with large amounts of ketamine in exchange for large sums of money, charging Perry $2,000 for a vial that cost Dr. Chavez approximately $12.
This indictment also includes that text exchange we mentioned between Drs. Plasencia and Chavez, in which Plasencia writes, "I wonder how much this moron will pay." And let's find out. From September until Perry's death in October, prosecutors say the doctors sold Perry about 20 vials of ketamine for $55,000. And that prosecutors alleged the ketamine queen, Yasmin Sangha, knew it was lethal. She Googled, they say, can ketamine be listed as a cause of death after another one of her clients died? How do you see all this evidence?
Anna, this is such a tight investigation, and we know now why it took so much time, since there were rumblings that this was going on just a month or 2 ago. So this is the DEA. So this is a federal investigation relating to a conspiracy to distribute ketamine resulting in death. The reason that we're seeing all of these facts laid out the way they are is that it shows the DEA and investigators were looking to put together anyone and everyone that was in that chain of distribution, ultimately resulting in Matthew Perry's death. Critical elements from the legal perspective are intent, a meeting of the minds, that there was this conspiracy to distribute the drug to Matthew Perry. And Anna, you laid it out. Those text messages, very, very critical. The other piece that's so critical, 3 individuals pleading guilty, presumably cooperating with prosecutors to tighten up the case.
Where do you even begin with the defense then? You're a defense attorney. These 2 who were just yesterday charged, as far as we know, Yasmin Sangha and then Dr. Plasencia, have pleaded not guilty.
Well, I think we're seeing from the defense attorney where this is going to go, that he's going to say that these payments were in exchange for legitimate services between doctor and patient. That was what was indicated in the interview with Dr. Plasencia's defense attorney. From the other way to attack these charges from the defense perspective is to attack that aspect of intent to distribute ketamine resulting in death. So you're going to try and undermine each and every element of this. But Anna, from what we see in the indictment, and of course, you know me, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. There's another aspect of this, and it is the cover-up. It is trying to manipulate records, destroy evidence after the fact that we see in text messages over an encrypted app called Signal. So there's a lot here, but of course, every defendant will have their day in court, and they'll try to attack every element of that intent.
Yeah, it's just also tragic. Misty Maris, thanks for giving us your legal expertise and insights. Up next here on Ana Cabrera Reports, Jordan Childs opening up about the heartbreak over her first individual Olympic medal being stripped away. Plus, one of Stonehenge's mysteries just pieced together. Stay with us.
One thing we know is true, no matter race, gender, ethnicity.
The need to screen when due.
For colon cancer's a priority.
Indeed. Everyone 45 plus at average risk should screen for colon cancer. These folks are getting it done at home with me, Cologuard.
Cologuard is a one-of-a-kind way to screen for colon cancer that's effective and non-invasive. It's for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your provider for Cologuard.
I did it my way.
I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for. And pause my subscription when I want. And have hundreds of free channels.
Sling lets you do that.
Choose and customize your channel lineup or watch for free. Sling lets you do that.
After careful review of medical guidance and research on pain relief, my recommendation is simple. Every home should have Salon Pause. Powerful, yet non-addictive. Targeted and long-lasting. I recommend Salon Pause. It's good medicine.
It's AARP.
Are you joining AARP?
Actually, I just did.
Call or go to joinaarp.org to join today for just $12, and your second membership is free. And get instant access to discounts on eye care, prescriptions, savings on travel, dining, and deals from top retailers. So many ways to save. Instant resources, tools, and tips to help manage your money, maximize your health, and so much more. Great offers find you wherever you are. And AARP is the largest advocacy group for people over 50. Your voice will be heard.
I love the local retail discounts.
I'm nowhere near ready to retire, and AARP has been a tremendous resource for that.
And we check out the hotels, the dining. AARP saves us a lot of money.
Join and get an insulated trunk organizer free, plus AARP the magazine.
Call 800-410-9787 or go to joinaarp.org now.
Sometimes Jonah wrestles with falling asleep, so he takes ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, and wakes up feeling like himself. Get the rest to be your best with non-habit-forming ZQuil. Better days start with ZQuil nights.
Recipes. Recipes written by hand and lost to time are now being analyzed and restored using the power of Dell AI.
The crazy thing about GLP-1s through Roe
is that my cravings have completely disappeared. I'm not quite sure how something that's just a little tiny prick can be so powerful in so many different ways.
Meet the weekly shop that helps you lose weight. Get started at Ro.co.
When the internet said Red Lobster's going away, your boy Flavor Flav said, not today. Crab Fest is here, boy, and they got 2 flavors, roasted garlic and new Cajun butter. When you gotta have seafood, you gotta have Red Lobster.
It's a lot to be a caregiver and a daughter because you kind of have to take a step back. She's a tough chick. She doesn't want to ask for help, but I know she needs it. My mom feels I'm her daughter and I should be able to do for her. I'm not sure if my mom notices that this is really hard on me. Getting some help would be a great relief.
From companions to helpers.
And is this the end of it?
Yeah, definitely not the end of this. I think things are still continuing to ramp up. We saw Jordan Childs. She said she was taking a break from social media, and understandably so, over the last couple of days to focus on her mental health. Well, now she's breaking her silence, and she's calling the news, the decision to strip her of her medal, devastating. She describes it the heartbreak. She said it was unjust, and it's pretty clear that she is gearing up for a fight. She said, quote, "I have no words. This decision feels unjust." And I think USA Gymnastics, U.S. Olympic officials also echoing that notion. They're going to be taking this appeal to what appears to be a higher international court, with U.S. Olympic officials just revealing that in the days leading up to the very critical hearing that happened with the Court of Arbitration for Sport over the weekend, that they were not getting proper notifications. The court had been sending, according to U.S. Olympic officials, emails to the wrong email addresses until the day before. Remember, they said that after the hearing, that's when they had managed to find this time-stamped video that shows they actually appealed within the 1-minute deadline. So there's still much to come, and that's likely something they will leverage in this appeal process.
What kind of response are we seeing from like the larger gymnastics world and community, including the Romanian team that, you know, again, was, I guess, the beneficiary of this ruling by the Court of Arbitration?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a very difficult past couple of days for everyone involved, including the Romanian gymnast Ana Barbosu. Remember, she thought she had won the bronze medal on the floor, and then you could see that look of just absolute devastation when she realized that perhaps Jordan Childs had actually surpassed her. Well, they did the medal ceremony earlier today, and the IOC says that is absolutely within Romania's right because the Court of Arbitration ruled in their favor. They also pointed out they weren't giving her Childs medal, and they also asked for in the appeal for Jordan Childs to be able to keep her medal as well.
So that could ultimately be the outcome here, where multiple athletes get medals. We'll see. Thank you for following it for us, Emily Aketa.
Thanks.
Stonehenge has been vexing historians and archaeologists for centuries, but now one key mystery behind it may be solved. A new study published in the journal Nature concludes the massive altar stone at the center of the monument in southern England came from way up in northeastern Scotland. So how did Stone Age humans transport a 13,000-pound slab roughly 500 miles, some 5,000 years ago, before the invention of the wheel even made it to that part of the world? Well, slowly. It may have taken about a decade, probably transported by sea. As for why this huge bluestone slab made this long journey, researchers say that's a question for the next generation of archaeologists. That does it for us this busy week. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you back here Monday, same time, same place. For now, I'm Ana Cabrera reporting from New York. Jose Diaz-Balart picks up our coverage right now.
Good morning. It is 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. I'm Jose Diaz-Balart. We begin with the intensifying 2024 race for the White House. In just a couple of minutes, Vice President Harris will head to battleground North Carolina, where she is set to unveil a new tax relief plan for American families. This, as former President Trump doubles down on his personal attacks on the vice president.
I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence, and I think she'll be a terrible president. I just want to win for the country. Some people say, oh, why don't you be nice? But they're not nice to me. They want to put me in prison.
Joining us now, NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist and NBC News correspondent Garrett Haake. So, Aaron, first to you. We're set to hear from the vice president in just a couple of hours on her economic plan. What can we expect?
Yeah, Jose, Vice President Harris will leave for battleground North Carolina a little later this hour. And this afternoon, we expect to hear her lay out some details of her economic plans and really